We're back.
Number 67.
Hi, Wildflowers.
Hello. We actually got some more people subscribing to us this week.
We did. Oh, thank
yes, we
you.
did.
That's
yes,
wonderful.
Hi, Ruby. I'm not sure who you are, but thank you.
Oh, I love the name. That's a great name.
Yeah. So you are.
I am not Ruby. I'm Judy.
I'm Carol.
And I'm Peggy.
And we're the
Wildflowers.
Do you remember that song, Ruby? Was
Ruby
it Johnny Cash?
No, it was Kenny Loggins.
Don't take your
No,
love
I
down.
don't know that one.
Yeah,
We've been singing here all day before, and so you know.
Off key. We sing off key.
Yeah, well, I
Speak
do.
for
I don't know.
yourself.
You
I
don't
don't
really.
know.
I'm a sucky singer.
Yeah.
I'm a sucky singer.
Well, we've had a
Sucky
busy
singer.
weekend because we
You
actually
did.
all saw each other just last night
Yes.
I know, I'm sick of them.
I say that.
to
No.
celebrate your son-in-law's
Birthday.
40th birthday. Happy birthday, Matt.
Yes,
it was
happy
a great
birthday,
time.
Matt.
It was. It was a lot of fun.
Yes, and today is his sister's birthday, so I don't know if they're doing something with
well,
that.
today is my brother-in-law Fergal's birthday. So
Oh,
happy
wow,
birthday,
Wally's
Fergal.
birthday.
February's a busy month.
It
Yeah.
really is. But
Yeah.
yeah, we had a really good time. We were in a place called Sweet Jane's in Bay Shore.
Really
And-
nice place.
Yes,
Check it out.
Yes, it was a good time. A lot of pictures posted on Facebook. So.
And they had a lot of unique drinks there. You know,
Yes.
even my husband, who used to be a bartender, he didn't know some of these drinks, and I thought they were great. So.
I loved his reaction to my whiskey sour with the
I
egg.
know. He and I were like, what the heck?
With the
Egg white? He said, I never heard of it in my life.
I
I
know.
said, me neither.
And he
No,
was a
that's-
good bartender.
Yeah,
Trust
no. Well, that's how Matt makes them, and the kids said that's why you always want your foamy whiskey sour because it's because of the egg white.
No,
I
but
don't
you
want
get them
any
foamy
eggs
from
in my
shaking.
drink.
No, you're not.
Yeah,
a
you can
bartender.
do
You
that.
can.
Yeah.
You're
but,
not either.
yeah, but I'm a drinker. I'm a whiskey sour
That was a
drinker.
good one, Kay.
Don't encourage her.
Yeah, I give credit where credit's due. That was a good one.
Oh my God. Well, I just want, we a while back we were saying that we were going to mention other podcasts or whatever,
Yes.
just support.
Yeah.
And there is. You said-
I forgot the name of the one I wanted to mention.
Oh, good. Well, this one is the Book Review Podcast with Gilbert Cruz, and it's powered by the New York Times. And they have a lot of, they interview authors and that kind of thing. So I just wanted to give them a shout out because, in today's world with bookstores closing right and
Yes.
left, and some are opening. There
Yeah,
are
I
some-
know. I see it on shelf awareness all the
Yes,
time.
yes.
This one's closing, this one's opening,
Yeah.
and people expanding, bookstores opening up
Yes.
second shops, and
Yep.
There's a podcast I do like. It's called Mobituaries. Have you ever
What's it
listened to
called again?
Mobituaries by
Oh,
Mo
I've heard-
Rocca.
Oh,
Mo
I like
Rocca's a
him.
journal. He's funny, and it's not. He does very tastefully funny,
Yeah.
obituaries. It doesn't not just about people, but also could be like trends. Like
Yeah.
whatever
Oh,
happened
okay.
to this,
Yeah.
or that, or.
Oh, I like that.
It's actually worth your time. So Mobituaries by Mo Rocca.
And where can you find them?
I gotta look where as anywhere you find your regular podcast.
Oh,
You can
okay.
find it. Yeah, definitely.
all right. I've heard of that one, so maybe one of my kids listens to it or they mentioned it. So
Yeah, he's great.
Okay. All right.
What else we got?
Well,
I feel like I spent so much
Well,
time talking yesterday.
it's happy Lunar New Year.
Oh yes, that was a good one.
Yesterday was my
Yesterday.
first
Yes.
day.
Year of the
Yes, it
Dragon.
was. Yes.
I was born in the year of the dragon.
very cool.
That's a
And
very lucky sign.
I know it is. And
It is.
Yeah.
Who was it that told me that it was a good sign? Was it you about publishing?
Probably yes, because it's
Oh,
year of
wood.
the wood dragon because there's a yin and a
Uh-huh.
yang, and it's the wood element this time, and so it's going to be a good year for industries that revolve around
Oh.
wood.
Paper.
And
Mhm.
paper comes from wood,
Yeah.
and so publishing is
Yeah,
one of those that they
yes,
predict is going to have a very good year this year.
Well, I hope that
And
And
goes
Carol's
well.
book is coming out September 10th, so that's going to be a really big boost to
Yeah.
publishing.
Yeah.
Well, you should wear the lucky colors I was reading for the year of the dragon are yellow and blue.
Yellow and
So
blue. Well,
walk
you-
around
that's
there.
what you're wearing.
I know, and then I said, oh, I didn't put on the blue pants. I
Yeah,
put
but
on
they
black
can't
pants.
see it anyway.
Yeah.
Just say
Yes, that's
that.
why I wore it.
Oh, that's.
Oh.
I'm glad you said that because
Yeah.
I wouldn't even know.
know,
That's
so.
We did a little, I think, a segment on the Chinese New Year last year too. We talked about it.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember? I know you're a dragon. Do you remember what yours is? I don't remember what yours is.
I don't remember.
Oh, I'm an ox. Where you're an ox.
I don't remember what you are.
Do you remember what you?
What year? You're 1955?
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Interesting.
Oh well.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so
Oh, very
happy
cool.
Chinese New
Yeah,
Year,
happy
Lunar
Chinese
New Year.
New Year. Absolutely.
I'm sorry. Samantha just got home.
She's
Oh,
fubbing
I told her to
us.
text me. Yay.
So,
Very good.
Well, I
All
guess
right.
we could move on to the wine, right?
all right.
Wine? Did someone say wine?
And
Why
Peggy, look what I
not?
brought with me.
Oh, good. I always fill mine out.
Yeah, but
So-
you do it when we're on the podcast. And
Yeah,
it's
no,
like-
I don't want to do it on top, but I do. What I do want to use as we do it are these charts because we use these at home a lot. As
I
you can
know,
see,
I
I've dropped
never use
wine
my
on the back. I like the charts, so that's what I'm going to use today to kind of
Okay.
help me identify some of
Very
this.
cool.
Okay, so anyway, the wine that we're tasting today is from the Neathlingshof Estates in
Wow.
South Africa.
Okay.
The type of wine it is a Pinotage.
Pinotage.
Okay.
Pinotage.
Now she told us yesterday that this was a wine you were going to bring.
Right.
So
Yes.
I've never had this before, and it's a new varietal, isn't it? For us?
For
For us.
us,
Yes.
yes, we never did a Pinotage.
All right, I'm going to start looking at the color.
Hmm.
We used to sell a wine, Chenin Blanc from South Africa when we had the bookstore.
I'm going to say it's
Oh,
purple
it
in
smells
color.
good.
No, you haven't tasted this
Oh.
one yet at all?
No,
This smells
I bought
like
it
it would be
for,
acidic,
this.
no?
Oh, okay. What? Say it again?
It smells like it might taste acidic.
no, it smells fruity to
No?
me.
Okay.
Oh, it
I
does
wish I
smell
had
good.
better olfactory senses.
Yes, my
So
trust with me.
congested all the time.
All right, so I'm saying it's purple. I'm going to say black fruit according to my chart. So that I'm going to say like blackberries maybe, and
I'm gonna say black cherry.
yeah, black cherry as well.
I don't know. All these colors kind of look the same to me. I can never tell.
I know.
All
Right?
right, well that's what I'm going to
Yeah.
say. And then what about the legs? Oh, it's got very good legs.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to
All
say
right, it does.
14.
Well,
All right.
You're right about that. It's 14% alcohol.
Yay. I'm
Okay.
good with the legs.
excuse
bless
me.
Bless you.
Sorry, folks.
All right, I'm going in. I'm going to taste. Cheers.
Well,
Cheers.
at least it wasn't you sneezing, because Peggy sneezes and she can't stop for like 17 times.
It's usually between 15 and 20.
Wow, that's so funny.
This is very unusual tasting.
It's different. It's not what I thought it would be.
It's very, very smooth. You practically don't feel it.
It doesn't have a very long finish.
No, not at all.
Yeah, that's true. But I kind of like it.
Yes, it's highly
Oh
quaffable.
my god.
What?
Tastes like soft and pillowy. I don't know if that's a wine word.
I almost
But when
spit
I
out my
swallowed
wine.
it, it's like so smooth.
It is. And it's not, you're right, it's not acidic.
No,
No,
not
you're
at all.
absolutely right.
I think maybe it could use a little more acidity. Because
No,
that's
I
what
kinda
the
like
tannins.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
delicious. I
know
do
what
like
you're
it.
saying, but
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is a
It's
Stellenbosch a Pinotage.
right.
It's medium bodied.
It's delicious.
Tastes kind of heavy to me.
It
Yeah,
reminds
yeah,
me
no,
of a
it's a little
Shiraz
dry.
almost.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a Shiraz a little bit.
Yeah, it's medium bodied, very dry.
Yeah, I like
Um,
that's dry.
I like
Not
it,
they age it 9 months in French and American oak.
though.
So that's probably what's giving it that
the-
smoothness, that oaky.
Yeah.
Smells
It's
nice.
the flavors are, what flavors are you tasting,
I
anybody?
said black cherry. I don't know if that's.
cherries in
I'd
it.
say blackberries.
It's plum and cherry.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Plum and cherry fruit, supported
Peppers,
by
spice.
spice,
Yes.
vanilla and spice. And what would you pay for this
Oh,
unusual wine?
you know what?
$17.
Why are you looking at me?
I like
that way?
this.
I like it too.
Yeah.
It's quaffable.
It's quaffable.
What do I think? How much it costs, or what would I
Yeah,
pay for?
Yeah, well,
Well, yeah, what would
do
you
you
pay
think?
for it?
Yeah.
Whatever. Name your price, Carol. Name your price.
$14.99.
Okay, it was $16.99 in
I
total
got
wine.
it.
So it's probably
Oh,
more
you
in
want-
other places, yeah.
Okay.
And then I always get it on sale too because I buy a lot of wine, so I
Right,
get
right.
10% off.
Okay.
But I
Alright.
thought it was very good. So This is Pinotage. There's other estates that make it. This one was established in 1692.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah, in South Africa. Nieflingshof.
It's very good. I'm going to give this
Sounds German.
4.5 wildflowers.
Yeah, it's very good. I like it too.
Yeah, I really do. We're on a good streak.
Yeah.
ladies,
Yes.
with our wine. Knock
It'll
on wood.
it'll be my turn next, so I'm gonna screw it up. So.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, this is good. I like
Joking.
this. This is a really,
I like it.
it's an easy drinking wine. That's like quaffable. That's what quaffable means. It's,
But I give it 5.
yeah, I like it too.
And
I like it too.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Now, here, one thing it just struck me as that we were drinking. This has nothing to do with wine, the taste of it, but in case, a little tip if you're drinking wine. Now, I don't wear a lot of lipstick out anymore, but do you know how to keep your lipstick from sticking to the glass of a wine?
Oh no! Do tell, because
Yeah, it's a little trick.
Vaseline.
No.
I was gonna say that.
No.
I get that cross
A little, you do it very discreetly. You lick
Oh.
where you're gonna sip just once.
Oh.
But
And then
but,
sip,
But
and
but the top rim must still.
No, just lick it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a.
Yeah.
That's a little tip, and in my younger years when I wore a lot more bolder colored lipsticks, that was something I would do, and it works.
You're supposed to lick it first, not after you sit
No, I
there.
did both.
I did both.
So that's something to practice
Oh.
in your own.
I don't wear lipstick,
your own
so it
private
doesn't matter to me. So.
That's funny.
A little tip.
So anyway, well, I'm glad this was good.
Yeah, I liked it. All right.
I thought maybe maybe it's going to be too light for these.
No, but we need to try different
Yeah,
ones.
Yes.
that's what I
Absolutely.
said. I said, there's so many, and
We can't.
I
do
had
that
never
way.
even heard of Pinotage.
No, I never did.
And
That's what
Samantha
I like.
said, because I said, I'm gonna do this wine tomorrow. So I said, I have to look up how it's pronounced. She said Pinotage.
So she knew.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
She's very worldly.
Yeah,
I
she's
forgot,
very
I forgot to
brilliant.
ask. I don't know if Natasha knows it, but we'll have to ask. But so it's your turn for the book.
My book. Okay, I read this book recently, and it jumped to the top of my list of things to review. I have a few other books I thought I would go ahead of time, but no. I'm going to talk right now the book is called The Enchanted by Rene Denfeld. Denfeld. This book came out in 2014 by HarperCollins. This was her debut novel, but she has since wrote a few other novels, I don't know if you know them, called The New Victorians, A Young Woman's Challenge to the Old Feminist Order, Kill the Body, The Head Will Fall, and All God's Children, Inside the Dark and Violent World of Street Families.
Mm.
So she also wrote The Butterfly Girl and The Child Finder. Okay, this book is amazing. I'm just going to start off 5 wildflowers for this book, and
Okay.
I can't give it, I highly recommend it. I pulled this book off in the bookstore because the title got my eye, The Enchanted, and I was in the mood for something kind of like The Rain Heron,
Yeah. Mhm.
This is not that. It's not that at all. This, and I'm going to have the beginning paragraph of the opening tells you everything you need to know. The first book from the internationally best-selling author Rene Denfeld, The Enchanted, is a wondrous and redemptive novel told from the point of view of a convict whose magical interpretations of prison life allow him to find absolute joy while isolated from the rest of humanity, and a female investigator who experiences her own personal salvation in her work as a death penalty investigator. Lyrical and heartwarming, The Enchanted is about the humanity that can lie within what is monstrous and the human capacity to transcend and survive. So as you can surmise, this book takes place in a maximum security prison.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the scenes deal with death row
Yeah.
inmates, and one of the main characters is Arden. He's on death row, and he is this one that kind of creates this kind of magical world in his mind, I guess, to deal with the situation
escape,
of what he's
sure.
got. He doesn't speak. And you never really, this isn't giving anything away, but you never really fully understand his crime, what he's,
Oh, okay.
but based on other conversations and things you hear, that it was this unspeakable kind of a thing.
Okay.
Yet, when you get to know Arden through his point of view, she's right, she gets you right into the humanity of these inmates
Yeah.
without ever doing it in such a way that it doesn't take away from
What
the
they did,
reality
yeah.
of what they did. And I think that's so hard
That's-
to
yeah.
do.
Yeah.
She's so talented. The other main character that you're going to meet is called the Lady, and I'm not really sure we ever learned her name. She is somebody, and I didn't know that this happened, when people are trying to get out of death row, like, you know, to get a pardon or to maybe get their convictions overturned or something. They can, the law firms will hire somebody like her, a death row investigator, a fact investigator, and where they will go through all the facts and go re-interview everybody, interview the inmates, and trying to make the best case they can to either get the death row penalty off the table and maybe instead get life in prison,
Yeah.
or maybe get them into a mental hospital instead. And I didn't know this until the end, but Rene Denfeld was a fact investigator for death row, and so she has a
wow.
very unique insight into
Right,
that as
yeah.
well.
I
And
love
so
that.
it takes, you know, so you meet the lady when she's trying to get this other character named York off of death row, and again, and she learns so much, and I think what you'll find is that her life in the story paralleled in many ways this death row inmate, yet two different paths that were taken,
Right.
and they ended up in two, you know, but yet
Two
kind of
different places,
she's
yeah.
here now, but in a different role. And you know, it's just not the roles that she explores of the inmates in such a short novel too. You're going to breeze through it, maybe, but it's also the guards that are there. You're going to learn about the inmates, the good ones, the bad ones, the guards,
Yeah.
the corrupt ones, the not so corrupt,
Yeah.
and it just makes you think. And I didn't intend this, but I was reading this novel all under the backdrop of what was happening in Alabama recently.
I told
with
you
the
I
death
was
row
reading
inmate.
about that. Yeah.
And I have to tell you this, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart, that this writing and this story made me think about that issue. Death row. We all have strong opinions about
Yeah.
capital punishment and so forth. It made me think about it in a completely different way.
Yeah.
And isn't that what good writing does?
Oh my
Yes,
God, yeah.
And I haven't read a novel that
This
in
sounds
such a long
so
time.
intriguing.
It is so good, and the title got me because I'm not sure if I would have known initially if it was titled Death Row. I don't know if I would have picked it up because I have an opinion about it. Or I had an opinion about it, but I was like, oh, I know. No, you don't know until you read it.
It's just too bad because my
Yeah.
next discussion, remember I told you, I said I might be doing it on capital punishment because I read that
And
article.
And I didn't know that when I read this.
And I read that article about that inmate in Alabama who just got executed using that new method
Yeah.
of and the Alabama governor can't wait to use it again.
Yeah,
I
well,
know,
you know,
really,
you might want to
Jesus.
peruse it if you want to take it home to prepare, but I think this book would be an asset to high schools curriculums. I think maybe those in critical thinking, or if you're learning about capital punishment and maybe some colleges, this is a wonderful book and sparks so much thought and critical, conversations that you could have, and just the people that you meet in here. And every character, I mean, really, I don't know how she did it in such a short period of time. Every character kind of reaches a breaking point in some way in this book. And it's, the chapters are so short, and so you could, read it quickly, you could read it up, but I had to say, I ended up taking my time through this novel because,
Like a fine meal.
well, sometimes things happen so quickly that I didn't see, and I had to digest that in such a long time. I'm really, or some things you knew might be coming, and you're like, I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
Well done, and it's in this format, this book, called the Harper Perennial Olive Edition. This book is part of a special series from Harper Perennial called Olive Editions, where exclusive small format editions of some of our best-selling and celebrated titles, featuring beautiful and unique hand-drawn cover illustrations. All Olive Editions are available for a limited time only. So this is the ones that they chose. They listed some in the back of the other ones that they, that they chose too.
I have a question though. Now, did any of
Excuse me.
these people on death row, did you think that they weren't guilty of the crime? Like, did any of them say, I really shouldn't be here? Was that part of the book that the story?
It really wasn't. You know that there are other inmates there. You only really get to know York in depth, who the lady is in charge of investigating, and I don't want to say you that question will be answered for York, okay? And I don't want to say yes or no. You know,
okay. All right.
For Arden, you will learn, even though you don't learn the details of his crime. You know some of the details, but you don't know exactly what it is, and that's kind of like But I think at the end you learn that answer for him too. You know, there are some other people you meet, but you don't get to know. So are you okay?
I am. I'm just a mess right now. Go ahead.
No, so the other convicts, you don't get to know the details too much of their crimes, but you get to know them as peoples in some other ways.
Right.
And you know, you could form your own opinions about that.
Okay.
Such praise for this novel.
Oh, good. It sounds like something I would enjoy.
If you'd like to borrow it in preparation for your thing, you can peruse it real quick. It won't take you long. I mean, I read it in probably a few days. You know, it's a very good. The print is big. You know, so it's a nice.
The Enchanted. I love the premise of it. I really do. I think that's so fascinating.
And I love how she used her personal experience to create the story.
I first got interested in the subjects of capital punishment when I was in high school. We had to write like an essay, a composition, whatever you want to call it, about something, and I chose capital punishment. It was kind of like a debate, like pro or con, and that's, you know.
I'd be interested to see if you still keep the same opinions on the subject. If you read it, you know, on it, because it's like she blew open a hole in a wall that you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, I didn't consider this at all. And I thought it was like this or that.
Wow. Oh, okay. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You're intriguing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Thank
Nice
you, Judy.
review.
Yeah,
You're
very
welcome.
good
Thank you.
review. Yes, I hope you're interested in it because it sounds fascinating. So it's my turn with the topic, and because on Monday the 19th, it'll be President's Day. So I decided to do it about President's Day. So it's a federal holiday, and it started for February 22nd. That was the day they picked it, and it was officially passed into law in 1879.
And February 22nd was Washington's real birthday,
And that's,
right?
I think that's why they picked that.
Yeah, because we used to just celebrate Washington's birthday and Lincoln's birthday as two separate holidays.
On the day, and now they've changed it so any holiday is on
Right.
Monday, so
Right,
whatever,
right.
it works out. So the law was extended to cover all federal employees, not just those in Washington D.C. in 1885, because it was first just in Washington D.C. So
Wait a minute. It started in 1885? But that was when it was on February.
yeah, February 22nd.
Oh,
was
okay.
1870, yeah.
Okay.
Why? What were you thinking?
Because I was saying, I remember in the 70s, I thought it was when they changed it to President's Day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Actually, I don't even know. How
Maybe
long
that was just in D.C.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, so I'm picking out some presidents and what they were noted for.
Okay.
And there's not a quiz yet. I'm gonna give you guys a quiz after, but anyway, I think I am, maybe. So George Washington. So he's famous, like we were taught, I was taught in school that he didn't tell a lie, chopped down
Down the cherry
and
tree.
with his teeth.
Yeah.
Well, some historians hold that the proclamation of neutrality was Washington's most important decision as a president.
Okay.
So the American energies were needed for building, not warring. So Washington understood this better than most of the fellow citizens, and he gave his country the time it needed. The Proclamation of Neutrality was a formal announcement issued by the U.S. President Washington on April 22nd, 1793.
Your birthday!
Yes, your birthday, absolutely. That's why he picked that date.
Yes.
That declared the nation neutral in conflict between revolutionary France and Great Britain. It threatened legal proceedings against any American providing assistance to any country at war.
Oh, yeah.
So, so. Now, as for John Adams, President Adams is authorized by Congress to raise a militia of 80,000 men for defensive purposes in case of war with France. So that's what he was apparently most noted
Okay.
for.
Huzzah.
Huzzah, right. Thomas Jefferson, he was noted for...
He owned slaves and knocked up one of his slaves.
Well, okay, that comes later.
And he signed the Declaration of Independence.
Right, so this was Thomas Jefferson's defining moment in history. He is remembered 200 years after his death for writing America's founding document. War between Britain and her colonies began in 1775, but it was not known what the colonies were trying to achieve. Some, primarily in the New England states, wanted independence from Britain. Others, primarily in the South, were determined to reassert their rights as Englishmen, but desired to remain in the empire. It must have been such a crazy time.
Yeah.
You know, we think we're living in a crazy time now, but I mean, then you were just so, everything was so new.
It's always been a crazy time in this world. No
Yeah.
matter, you read a history book.
Well, you know,
No
it's
matter
true.
what it was,
It's true.
it was always,
If you're
humans
living-
are screwed up.
Yeah. The Second Continental Congress assembled a committee to write a document arguing for independence. So that's what he was very active in doing. James Madison, popularly acclaimed the father of the Constitution for his pivotal role in drafting and promoting the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights. So he was also very involved with that. As for Zachary Taylor, I want to try to mix it up a little bit. He was a career officer in the United States Army, rising to the rank of Major General and becoming a national hero for his victories in the Mexican-American War. As a result, he won election to the White House despite his vague political beliefs, which I found very interesting. His vague political, they didn't have you didn't have the internet, you didn't have, I mean, in order to get those votes, I mean, how did
He probably killed a lot of Mexicans, so that appeals.
And sometimes the people that don't express their opinions out in public
Yeah.
are the ones that appeal
Yeah.
most to people.
Yeah,
that's-
I know, but that's a little bit scary, voting for somebody for president and nobody knows what he
Vague.
stands for.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So his top priority as president was to preserve the Union, and he died 16 months into his term from a stomach disease, and I couldn't find out exactly what the disease was, but yeah, so those are some of the things that were noted for. So, I want to ask the two of you, can you name the five most popular presidents in history that,
It's got to be George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Barack Obama, if we're going up that far. Let's see, FDR, and he's popular, but he was a dick.
It doesn't mean if you like
yeah.
him. I mean,
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
let me think.
you said most of them, there's one more that's missing.
I know, I'm thinking about it.
Well,
Give me a hint, is
Well,
it
the
a
fact-
past or?
the fact that you're living in Oyster Bay.
Oh, Theodore Roosevelt. That's what I said. There's another really popular one.
I live just down the road from where he lives.
Why, she lives right where he lives. Okay, all right, now, can you guess who's been ranked at the bottom, the least favorite presidents?
Personally, or
From these 4 surveys, there've been several surveys.
Oh, Hoover is probably one of them. I don't think he was very popular.
Nixon?
These
Yeah.
are pretty old ones. I gotta
okay.
tell you that,
Okay.
and it's probably so hard because these are not popular. Well,
Okay,
history is
John
not my
Adams
subject.
wasn't a very nice person, I don't think. I think he was not very popular. So I'll say John Adams, and I'll say James Madison's.
Well, let me ask you this: can you name all the presidents? Do you know?
No,
all?
I can't name
no,
all of them.
Neither
No,
can I.
No.
Yeah.
no.
No, it's not a
It's
strength for me.
Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe.
Yeah.
No,
I
it's
feel like
too-
I would think that he'd come a little bit later.
Yeah. Do
Well,
you have them listed?
No, I
Oh.
on my laptop, but no.
Well,
All right,
that
so
doesn't help us.
No, it doesn't. So who's been ranked at the bottom? James Buchanan,
Oh, okay. Didn't he die as soon as he got in office?
I don't know. Andrew Johnson and Franklin Pierce.
Oh, Andrew Johnson was impeached, actually, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so let me ask you this. Who was the youngest person to become the U.S. president?
Kennedy.
No?
Oh.
Oh, that is news.
Oh, maybe then it's a young president from the beginning. Oh, okay.
Oh, not the beginning.
What, near the beginning?
Again, where he lived.
Roosevelt?
Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. He was young.
He was at
yeah.
age 42, succeeded
Yeah.
to the office after the assassination of William McKinley.
Right. That's right.
The oldest person inaugurated as president is
Biden.
Yeah. Biden. Yeah, we won't even go there right now. So I had to find out. Now, do you know why McKinley was assassinated?
I don't.
I know he's credited for bringing Puerto Rico into the Commonwealth status as the United States. Maybe people weren't happy with that. I don't know.
Well, the guy that assassinated him, Salazgaz, had lost his job during the economic panic of 1893 and turned to anarchism, a political philosophy.
This is McKinley?
That's why he was assassinated.
That was the first depression there, right? To
recent assassinations of foreign leaders. He regarded McKinley as a symbol of oppression and was convinced that it was his duty as an anarchist to kill him.
So there's always been crazy people.
There's always been crazy, yeah.
What state did he come from, I wonder?
Then we'll have to look that up. We'll have to
continued.
Okay, so 12 U.S. presidents in history owned slaves at some point in their lives.
Oh, okay.
Jefferson
did. I'm pretty sure George Washington did also.
Yeah.
It was Jefferson.
I don't know.
Probably John Adams because he had a lot of property. He had a farm.
John Adams and his son
John Quincy Adams
as well.
Zachary Taylor.
Wow.
Ulysses Grant. And of course you mentioned Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
Thomas Jefferson owned the most with 600 plus slaves and followed closely by George Washington.
How many did Washington own?
Close to that, so I don't have a number.
600, imagine.
Yeah.
For decades.
Because they owned plantations.
Yeah, exactly. For decades, one of the most overlooked aspects of presidential elections was also the dearest to the eventual winner's life, the woman he'd bring to the White House as First Lady. So over time, however, attention in the lives of candidates' spouses has increased, and we have an appreciation for that. So, having said that, who do you think are some of the more influential?
Dolly Madison.
She is definitely one of them.
Yeah, Dolly Madison.
Rosalind Carter.
Yeah.
No, I don't know if she would be on the list because Carter was not that popular.
He wasn't, but she did a lot.
She
behind the scenes, she really did.
Michelle Obama probably is one of them.
What's her name? Oh.
And
why can't I see her face?
Barbara Bush might be on there.
No,
she did a lot.
Not on the ones
no,
that
what's
I have.
the one?
Oh,
okay. I'm not good with names, but I know her face.
How
Betty
about
Ford?
No, but I know she did good stuff.
Mary Lincoln?
No.
I'm thinking something more modern, black and white. I'm thinking.
I was just thinking of people.
Eleanor Roosevelt.
Yes.
Eleanor
Yes.
Roosevelt.
Yes, she's on the list.
Definitely.
I'm so bad with history and names, but I.
Well, so Martha Washington was the very first First Lady. So after years of unflinchingly assisting George Washington's demanding military and political engagements, Martha Washington found herself cut off and subdued by the rigid protocol of the presidential residence that came with her husband's election.
That's Martha?
Yeah. So despite feeling more like a state prisoner without a life of her own, she dutifully oversaw all the official functions and obligations required by the presidency. Her self-sacrifice and discipline set the standard for the first ladies. I mean, can you imagine you're the first one and you have to set the standard?
Yeah.
So Dolly Madison had a 16-year reign. She took Martha Washington's example and went even further.
She took ice cream to the White House.
She loves ice cream. So she first assumed the responsibilities of First Lady on behalf of widowed President Thomas Jefferson, and she only relinquished it 16 years later after her husband James Madison succeeded Jefferson for 2 presidential terms. During that time, she served as the welcoming face of America to visiting dignitaries while also showing considerable political savvy in advising her presidential husband. She also demonstrated gritty patriotism. As British forces, this I love, advanced on the White House during the War of 1812, Mrs. Madison rushed many of its national treasures to safety before the invading army set about destroying the building.
Wow.
So that, I never knew that. Well, maybe I did. It sounded vaguely
How
familiar.
about William Woodrow Wilson's wife? Is she on that list? Because she governed while he had a stroke,
Right.
and he really was incapacitated.
No, you're absolutely right. No, she is not on this list.
I don't remember her name. Was it Ethel? I don't
I
remember
don't
her name.
know.
I'm not the person
Well,
to ask
Abigail
this.
Fillmore. Okay,
Hey,
no, we're not going to
Cool
do
it.
Abigail Fillmore, and
No.
she embraced what became a beloved cause of many first ladies, the promotion of education and learning.
And who was that? I'm sorry.
Abigail Fillmore, that's
Oh,
okay.
okay.
You were disciplining my dogs, they needed it. She met future husband Millard Fillmore at school.
Oh.
She's a teacher, and he was a student 2 years younger, and later aided his
Ada
rise.
Brava.
Oh, so she was his teacher.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
scandalous.
That is a bit scandalous.
no, well, he was he is
Yeah.
2 years younger.
It
And
must have been college or
Yeah,
something.
so she aided his rising political career all the way to the presidency. So once there, she oversaw the creation of the White House Library, which
Oh.
was very cool, selecting books and overseeing the collection as it grew toward its current status as one of the richest historical book archives in the country. That proved no small feat. Prior to Fillmore's election, Congress resisted efforts to establish a library in the White House, fearing that the collection of knowledge would make presidents too powerful.
Wow.
You see,
Congress has always been the
historically
same.
trying to
So-
prevent books from being read.
Yep.
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 And that I was like,
There it is.
whoa.
Books are powerful,
Whoa.
and we don't. Anyone who wants to ban you from reading a
Yeah.
book wants to keep you from gaining power.
That's right.
Absolutely. And it's
What it
just,
is?
oh, I said
This is
absolutely. I told myself every time I said absolutely, I have to take a sip.
Oh,
of
I'll
Wow.
take a little more while we're here.
That's a punishment, huh? Huh?
Yeah, well, someone has to do it. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
this is a really nice one.
It's
I like this
delicious.
one.
I
So
love
the
it.
next one, Eleanor Roosevelt, who I
Well,
love.
I do, and I respect her a lot.
Poor
Yeah, even though I can remember
I
her name
know,
earlier,
she
but
had-
Yeah.
she did a lot though.
She did so
And
much.
I remember growing up and stuff and hearing people saying, talking about her looks.
Well, that was a big thing people did, talk
Yeah.
about her looks, and look what she did,
Yeah.
and look what her husband did to
People
her, too.
still
He cheated
talk
on
about
her.
the
Yeah.
looks for first
I know.
ladies,
Yeah.
and it's so unfair. I mean,
That's
we
right.
haven't moved
I know.
in that
No.
respect.
I know,
Yeah.
and you know what, it's really, it's such a misogynistic
Yeah.
society, society, because you never hear about that. Let's
No.
say, oh, look at Richard Nixon, and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
it's
yeah, no.
no, it's
No,
always
I
the
mean-
women
Yep,
that are judged for their looks.
absolutely.
Or it makes them better. I mean, I remember with this last, the last night, I had conversations with people who would say, "Oh, it's just better. Look at Trump's wife. It
Yeah.
should be a better first lady." Why?
Right.
I
I'm
say,
sorry, I don't
why?
even think that woman is good looking.
But whatever, people do think she was, and I go, this is so ridiculous. That's the reason why, if you notice Trump, he always has
Arm
an attractive
candy.
woman next
Oh, yeah.
to him.
He's got arm
Always,
candy.
because we're stupid as a society.
Mhm.
We just think flashy,
shallow.
flashy, shallow,
Mhm.
shallow, and that's who we're going to vote for.
Yeah,
Wake
if you
up,
have a
people.
golden toilet, you
that's
should
it.
be president.
Wake up.
Really.
Oh.
Well, let's talk about.
Sorry,
Eleanor
we
Roosevelt.
said
No,
Don't get me started.
no, she transformed the Post into its current energetic activist incarnation, which, thank you, Eleanor. Though initially forbidden from engaging in any of the political and organizing activity that had been central to her adult life, Mrs. Roosevelt gradually broke out of the withdrawn and reserved strictures of earlier first ladies by wading into a population suffering the worst deprivations of the Depression.
Yeah.
So while never shirking official duties back in Washington, she took up the many different social and cultural causes during her travels across the nation that had to be exhausting.
Yeah, but she
Yeah.
had a brain. She was a
Exactly.
smart lady.
She
Yep.
was. Yeah.
She held press conferences,
Yeah.
she hosted radio programs, and she wrote newspaper columns along the way. She used her voice. In addition to serving her husband's presidency and advancing a progressive position of her own, she later served as an official at the United Nations.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I
I
think
didn't
that
know
was
that
in
she
a
did.
documentary. I
Oh.
remember seeing that. I can't remember the name of the documentary, but that was interesting.
There's so much achievements that this
I
woman
know.
did while
I
she
know.
was first lady. It's
Yep.
very respectable.
And then later on, Betty Ford, Gerald Ford's wife, the My Way First Lady, that's what she was known as. So some 40 years later, after Roosevelt, Betty Ford stepped into the First Lady role with Mrs. Roosevelt's engaged and inspiring spirit, though not always in a way her husband's Republican backers liked, which was, hey, Mrs. Ford became an outspoken supporter of the Equal Rights Amendment for women,
Which was never signed.
never signed.
To this day.
Yep. And similarly
Tells
took
you
a
a lot about the Republican Party, folks.
Yeah. Wake up.
and similarly took a pro-choice position that rankled some conservatives. As part of this work, Mrs. Ford spoke publicly about the rights of women to lead their lives free of judgment and stigma, stances normally considered the domain of liberals in that era. In spite of criticism from some fellow Republicans, Mrs. Ford's actions as First Lady earned her Time magazine's 1975 Woman of the Year distinction, and with wide public respect.
Yeah.
So, and she also had, was brave in her private life, because she didn't shy from openly discussing her battle with breast cancer, a topic still disastrously
right,
avoided
that's right.
in polite
Yeah.
conversation.
Back in the 70s.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
a big
And
deal.
then she acknowledged her addiction
Right.
and to alcohol and prescription drugs, and helped launch the Betty Ford
Which we
Splencha.
still have, and,
Yep.
and it's very highly
Yeah.
sought after treatment.
Yeah, and it's assisting people. So those are just some. I did not want to do about presidents without talking about their wives, because you often say behind the
every
Every-
great man, there's
isn't-
usually a great woman.
Yeah.
But now, you
Yeah.
know, women, I just felt it was so important to, and
I
there's
like
so
it.
many that I left off because we just don't have time, but
I just can't wait until the day, and probably long after, I've left this life, that people will say, behind every great woman, there's a good man.
Well, I do want to say, because we are in the year of the dragon, the wood dragon is a feminine dragon, which means it's a year. Some are are thinking that it could be a symbol of a female coming into power, because a dragon is a symbol of power,
Right.
which makes me think
Yeah.
perhaps
Nikki Haley might
maybe
win
Nikki
the nomination.
Haley might win the
Or-
nomination,
I'd be
or
shocked.
I know, we don't want to
We
say
don't
the
wanna
other
say
thing,
the other
but,
thing.
but
But I think it could happen. I mean,
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
see what happens. But that's what they're
Yeah.
saying, because it is a female power year
right.
with
right.
the wood dragon. It would be nice.
I mean, I encourage any of our viewers,
Yeah.
President's Day, I know there's a lot of sales going on, and, you might get a
that's
mattress.
not really what it's about.
Right, and they might get a
Unless
mattress.
it's at bookstores, and
Right,
then
yeah.
go knock yourself out.
Well, in the bookstore you could educate yourself.
Yes.
And I just give you encouragement to really think about the position of presidency and how we as a country have gone. We're still a baby country in the grand scheme of
Yeah.
things. And so, a sale is great, but try to have a conversation with your family, or just do some research,
Yeah.
and empower yourself. So that's my topic, and
I like
happy President's Day. Happy President's
Happy
Day.
President's
President's
everyone.
Day.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Take a sip. Take a sip.
Oh, I will.
Take a sip.
There we go.
Slide
Okay.
on.
Thank you for
Before
watching.
we sign off, I want to wish a speedy recovery to our friend Griselda.
Oh, yes, to Griselda.
Griselda.
Oh, look.
Oh, everybody.
And my dogs know it's almost time to eat.
Say bye.
Bye.